Hi, Terry here again. I'd like to talk about what I call my 10 companionable dreads. Things that I dread in life. And these have been alive in my life for decades. I identified them, probably 15, 20 years ago. I put names to them. So they're companionable. They live with me. I don't dread the dreads. I don't fear the dreads. I just recognize these are things that drive me, that keep me moving. But anyway, my 10 companionable dreads: sedate, satisfied, and settled; dormant, dull, and risk-free; and immovable, done, stalled, and unchanging. They all have to do with stopping. I dread stopping. Stop growing, or stop being transformed, or stop being curious, all those things. Again, I'll read them. My 10 companionable dreads: sedate, satisfied, and settled; dormant, dull, and risk-free; and immovable, done, stalled, and unchanging. I don't want to stop living, stop expanding, stop wondering, stop exploring mystery, stop questioning. So it's a curious thing that at the same time I dread stopping, my wife and I are figuring out how to settle in and stay where we're living now. You see, we have a history of every, as short as 2 years. The last stay in Southern California, as short as 2 years, and as long as 14. But generally, every 6 to 8 years, we move. We don't just move from one house to another. We move across country or move into a very different setting, a different community. So we're trying to figure out how to stay, how to settle in here. So it's a different thing. And we're doing this by, I call it applying little dabs of glue, like getting to know our neighbors, finding some people in our new little condo development that we resonate with, that we enjoy being with, finding places that we enjoy visiting and activities that we can be involved in that interest us and engage us. So we're trying to find ways of staying. And that sits along with my companionable dreads. And I'm discovering that the two are not opposite. Learning how to settle in, to stay here, to be less movable, to not change our residence or our community, our relationships every several years. Doing that is not opposite from the dreads. What I'm discovering is that the best way that I might discover to not stop is by stopping moving. That maybe, because the opposite of my dreads are my hopes, that I can keep changing, developing, and being transformed, that I remain curious, questioning, and expectant, that I am constantly connecting, learning, pondering, and maximizing life. And maybe the best way to do that is by staying here, by delving deep into relationships and community and learning opportunities right here. So maybe the best way to keep changing is by not changing neighborhoods, by not starting over again and again. There's an interesting Buddhist teaching that I ran across that said, why do you go to the top of a mountain to become enlightened when you could not be enlightened where you were? Question. Maybe the best way to keep changing and growing and learning is by staying and being and going deep into and wondering right where I am. So I'm thinking about that right now as it's it's the early part of September now, going into another academic year and so on, that the best way for me to keep growing might be to not move, to stay, to settle in, to grow right where I am. So that's what I'm thinking about today. And I wonder for you, is it your challenge to maybe move because you settle in a lot? We met a new neighbor just recently that talked about how difficult it was to move into the condo here because they'd been in their house for 23 years. There's another neighbor who was in their house for decades, and they're struggling to let go of what was and settle into this new place. And it's interesting that Anita and I are working the opposite, that we tend to move and we'd like to stay. They would have preferred to stay where they were and not move. So I wonder where you are in this. Do you dread changing and moving and expanding, or do you, as I do, dread kind of the sedate and satisfied and settled side? Well, just pondering with you. Think about it a little bit, and I'll talk to you the next time.